Hi everyone, welcome back to the Spring Garden series where we are growing a spring garden of vegetables all the way from seed to harvest, and we're doing it in a quick, simple, inexpensive way. And our friend Joel is helping us out. Joel, I am so excited that you're here on this series with us. We were having a ton of fun.
Yes, it's a great time.
On today's video, we're going to talk about how and when to water your indoor seedlings. Now, this is where a lot of gardeners tend to get tripped up. With the tips in this video, we're going to be watering our indoor seedlings like a pro. But before we do that, Joel, we want to check in on your plants and see how this week went. How did everything go with your little seedlings?
I was pleasantly surprised. I believed everything you told me, and I wasn't surprised that they came up. I was just amazed at how well they came up and how quickly they came up. I think about all the time that I spent trying to grow outside, and man, I wish I'd have done this from the get-go.
Now, I know you were a little bit worried about the dogs getting into your seedlings indoors. Where did you keep them? Tell me a little bit about how that went this week.
We have a guest room, and I put the seedlings back in the room, and the cool weather plants I put in the closet. Turn the ceiling fan on to make sure that the room stayed cool because it's on the sunny side of the house. But it's all working out fantastically. It was just,
wow.
Loved it. Never left the dogs alone either. They were with me or they were out. So
oh, good. Way to go.
Yeah.
You paid special attention for that.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Now, next question is, how did things go with the grow lights? Rate yourself on like turning them on, turning them off. How'd the timer work for you?
I just trusted the timer. So I give the timer an A.
Great.
So, but I checked them twice a day.
Oh, good.
When I got up in the morning, when I came home from work, I checked them.
Next question is, how'd things go with watering?
Very well, as a matter of fact. I really kept an eye on the plants to make sure that the dirt, that it didn't, when it turned brown, I was on it and kept it wet, kept it moist. And then the second day, I started pouring some water into the pan itself, being very careful not to pour too much and not too little, because the pods the dirt really sucked up that water quickly. By like the fourth day, I didn't have to water anymore.
Perfect.
Because you could tell they were moist, and I didn't want to waterlog them. So.
Well, perfect. We're going to talk more about those tips today, but it sounds like you were off to a great start.
Yeah, it was good. It was great. You're a good teacher.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
It's time for the big reveal. I cannot wait to see what you got in that grow light box. Let's see it.
Drum roll, please.
Drum roll. Ooh, here goes. Oh my gosh.
I know.
This is unbelievable.
I know. I was like, that's what I'm saying. Like, whoa.
Wow.
Totally cool.
What growth. 1 week.
1 week. 1 week.
Joel, I have to hand it to you. You really blew me away here. This is incredible. You have got like, the cucumbers are growing, the squash, everything has sprouted.
Oh yeah. Yeah, you're a great teacher.
Well, you did a great job. You took good care of them.
Yeah, I tried.
So these are the warm weather vegetables, and then here we have the cool weather vegetables, which look just as amazing. You've got your lettuce, your peas, your kale. Every single thing has come up.
Yeah, everything.
Joel, I'm so proud of you.
Well, thank you so much.
Good job.
Yay me.
This is so fun. Yours grew way more than mine did. Now, granted, I did let mine dry out a little bit for today's video because we're talking about watering, but yours look absolutely fantastic. I think you definitely have the green thumb.
Thank you.
A super duper green thumb.
Maybe the jinx is gone.
Yeah, absolutely. Today's video, like I mentioned, is all about watering and fertilizing your seedlings. And if you haven't jumped in on the Spring Garden series yet, it's definitely not too late. Grab yourself a Spring Garden seed collection and a copy of my book, where I'm going to give you a little hint here. Everything we're talking about is in chapter 3. The consistent watering and fertilizing is where a lot of new gardeners get tripped up. If you don't water your plants, of course, they're going to die. If you over-fertilize your plants, they might get burned or die as well. And of course, if you water them too much, they're going to get waterlogged, could possibly get root rot, diseases, all kinds of things can happen if you overlove. So today's video is going to cover exactly how and when to water your indoor seedlings, because consistent watering is really the key to the health and growth of your brand new plants. Now remember, we're growing these little seedlings indoors for about 4 to 6 weeks, and we're going to be transplanting them outside when the weather is right. So that's going to be a lot of fun. But in the meantime, one of the questions I get asked all the time is, when do I water my seedlings? Well, I really wish there was a magic formula to answer that question of how often to water, but it's really dependent on 2 different variables, and I think you probably found this true this week as you were watering your plants. The first variable to consider on how often you water your plants is the location that you have them growing. So you had yours in a nice warm closet, and if you're growing it in a cooler location of your house, they're not going to dry out as quickly, but in your closet, they dry out really fast. And you found that you had to water them every day or every couple of days just to keep the moisture level up.
Yeah, at least, yeah. But you know, at the same time, it got humid and it rained here, so I think that helped a little bit too. The relative humidity
Absolutely.
helped keep the moisture in.
Now the second variable to consider is what your seeds are growing in. So I don't know if you noticed this or not, Joel, but a lot of times the pellets will dry out a little bit quicker than the larger pots. Mm-hmm. Because there's a different type of soil in here. So it really depends on the type of medium that you're using in your containers, right, or what type of containers they're growing in. Little recycled cups, or for example, these eggshells, these egg cartons, because they're like a cardboard, right, these dry out very, very fast, yeah, because the material kind of wicks up the water. Right. So I found I really do have to water my little cardboard seed cups or the egg cartons a lot more often. Well, it's actually very simple to tell when to water your plants if you look for 2 clues. Now, these clues will tell you exactly when your plants need water. The first one being, which you mentioned, Joel, you did a really good job of checking for this week, is the color of the soil. Now, again, I let my plants dry out a little bit too much this week just so we could demonstrate for the video, but you can tell the difference between, here, grab one of your pellets there, Joel, one that's nice and wet. You can tell the difference in color. Look how this one is a light brown, and Joel's, which has a good amount of water, is a dark brown. So when your pellets or your cups with soil start changing to a light brown color, that's the first clue that they need some water.
Right.
And at this point, like I could spray the top of my pellet right here, because it definitely does need water. The plant hasn't germinated, so I'm just going to spray the top to moisten it. And Joel, yours is looking great because you did such a good job this week.
Thank you.
It doesn't need any water, so we're not going to water it. The second clue to look for, and this one is kind of fun, especially when you're dealing with a little container, is the weight of the container. So a container that has dried out is going to be a lot lighter because it doesn't have the moisture, right, content. Right. Yours is nice and moist. You can tell the difference right here.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
You pick it up and you can just tell this one.
It's almost like you just planted it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So, and this one definitely does need some water. So we're going to talk about how to water in just a second. Now, the most important thing you can do is check your plants daily. And Joel, I am so proud of you because you were right on top of that. Checking in the morning before you went to work, checking when you came home. I mean, that's the best way to monitor the color, monitor the weight. And as you go, as I'm sure you noticed during the week, kind of trial and error, you got to know your plants, you got to know how they feel, how they look, and that was the best way that really you could tell that they needed a little bit of water.
Yeah, exactly. I checked them before I even grabbed a beer. These were number 1.
I'm so proud of you.
Thank you. I know, it was a sacrifice.
Question of the day is how to water your indoor seedlings. Now, as we talked about last week, before your seeds germinate, you can just spray the tops, which you did very, very well on that. Now, once your seedlings germinate though, what you want to do is bottom water. Now, a lot of people will come along and just dump your watering can, pour water all over the tops of your seeds. Right. But as you can tell, these are very, very delicate, and that could really displace the seedlings. Right. You definitely don't want that. You worked hard to grow these vegetables, and you want them to be nice and healthy, right?
Exactly, yeah.
Absolutely. So you're going to do something called bottom watering, and this is a healthier way to water. It helps disease not to spread as easily, and then the soil just wicks up the moisture from the bottom, and it really allows for efficient watering of your plants. So I'm going to have you go ahead and bottom water. We're going to start with a little seedling tray right here.
Okay.
These are my cool weather vegetables. And look at the clues that we talked about. Look how the soil is a nice light brown color, which is a big clue that they need watered. And then when I pick them up, they feel really light. So once you go ahead and pour an inch or so of water right in there, a couple inches. And then what we're going to do is let these sit in the tray for about 10 minutes or so till we can see the top of the soil change color to a darker brown color. and then we're going to pour the water off because we don't want to overwater,
Right.
and the soil will get all soggy. That way the roots will tend to rot. That's how to water the little containers with soil. Now, as you mentioned, watering the peat pellets is really fun. These are super, super dry, and I know the seeds haven't germinated yet, but because they are so light and so dry, we're gonna go ahead and bottom water these. Let's try it here with this little tray, and I want people to see how the water is just sucked up into the peat pellets, and then you can just see it really travel up the sides, and you might wanna pour a little bit more water in there. But it's really fun to watch.
Yeah, it's excellent.
You can see the color change as the water goes up the side.
Yeah.
They get more wet, and then pretty soon the top will get wet too.
See it climbing.
So you can see here, look at this, Joel, how the top of the soil is nice and dark.
Right, got sucked up.
That's a good sign that these pellets are good to go. So little tiny tip here. Most people have a turkey baster sitting around their house, so you can just suck the water out with that little turkey baster. I kind of get it in the corner of the tray there. Put it back into your watering can or water another plant if you have another tray that needs watered. Let's check on our little tray of lettuce here and peas to see how that's looking. So what are you noticing here about the top of the soil?
That's nice and wet.
Nice and wet, nice and dark brown.
Right.
Then you can suck out that water in the tray. Again, we don't want our plants getting root rot, so you don't want them sitting in the water too long and getting waterlogged. Perfect. Now the next step is how to fertilize your indoor seedlings. Yours are actually at the perfect stage for fertilizing, but you want to fertilize your indoor seedlings when they get to the true leaf stage. Now let me explain what that is. When seedlings first come up, they have little baby leaves. Mine are at the baby leaf stage here, right here. These don't look like a cucumber or a squash seedling at all yet. They just have the baby leaves. Here on your squash plant, you're getting true leaves, which actually look like a squash leaf.
Okay.
See that right there?
Yeah, yeah.
And the same thing on your cucumbers. You've got your little true leaves coming out. Those are the adult leaves. They definitely need some fertilizing, and you want to fertilize it once a week so your plants continue to grow healthy and strong and are ready to plant out to the garden in about 6 weeks. Easy does it is the key when it comes to fertilizing your seedlings. You're going to follow the directions on the back of the bottle, but cut it down into quarter strength. So whatever it says on the back of the bottle, quarter strength, I think that says 3 pumps per gallon on the back there.
Let me put my glasses
So
on.
put your glasses on. We are going to do 1 pump per gallon because we don't want to do full strength.
Right.
You don't want to burn your seedlings or anything like that. We're doing it first off with the Good Dirt plant food. This has a higher nitrogen level. Now your plants need nitrogen because it's what gives them that nice green leafy growth. So if you want to just put 1 pump into your watering can there.
Okay. I'm probably going to until he comes up. Sorry.
There we go, got 1 pump. The other thing we're going to use to fertilize our indoor seedlings are the Vermistera worm tea. I've used Vermistera in my garden for years. My plants absolutely love it, and your plants are going to too. And what this does is help provide your plants with some beneficial bacteria and microbes so that they're healthy, and it gives a nice slow and steady growth, and it doesn't burn your plants. So you really can't overdo the worm tea, but we're going to add 2 capfuls to the gallon there. Normally you add about 3 to 6 ounces per gallon, so 2 capfuls will be just right. And we need to mix it up. Wonderful. And then your plants aren't super dry right now, so we're just going to add a little bit to the bottom of the tray and let them suck it up.
Oh, you mean the whole?
Yeah, we'll go ahead and water all of them. The tomato plants over here are just starting to develop teeny tiny true leaves, but this is a nice gentle fertilizer, and it's going to be just beneficial. No, it won't hurt them at all.
Okay.
And you want to fertilize your seedlings about once a week at the time when you would normally water them. We'll just let that sit for a second, and we'll be good to go on the fertilizing. Now, Joel, one thing I wanted to mention about the worm tea is you don't want to let it freeze. Now, I know that's not an issue for us here in California, but it could be for a lot of people. So you want to store it somewhere between 40 degrees and 90 degrees Fahrenheit. Anywhere out of that range could harm the microbes that are actually dormant in the tea until you add it to water.
One of the things that I did upstairs when I added water to the bottom, you don't really know if your pan's perfectly level or not. It's just, if you're in doubt, just twist it around a little bit, let it sit, and then twist it around again, let it sit for a little while, and it'll all, the water will be evenly dispersed.
So you can see that by following the steps we've talked about here today, you can easily tell how and when to water your indoor seedlings and how and when to fertilize them too, so they grow into nice, strong, healthy plants that we're going to be planting outside in the garden very soon. Well, Joel, you're doing a great job. Keep it up this week. That's your assignment for the week. Just keep on doing more of the same.
I will. I'll continue on. You're a great teacher. You've really helped me out tremendously.
Well, thank
Really,
you.
You know, and I'm going to expand this knowledge into each season that comes along. Believe me,
Good.
I'm studying this, and I've already got plans for like the summer and the fall.
Wonderful.
Yeah, it's going to be great. It's going
Well,
to be great.
what would you say to someone who is considering getting started with their spring garden?
Well, Kim, what I would do is go back and watch the videos again. Don't be afraid. You can't fail. If you watch the videos, it works. It works. It works great. It actually changed my whole way of thinking of how
Good.
to start with seeds. And I've always liked the idea of starting with seeds, but I never really was very good at it, and I always had to go to do-it centers and, you know, buy your plants and everything. Well, now I feel much more confident.
That's great.
I feel a lot better.
It's not too late for you to jump in on the Spring Garden series. Grab yourself one of my Spring Garden seed collections and my book over my website. I've actually packaged them together so that you can save $5 if you purchase them together. And then go back and watch the first few videos in the series. We've already covered how to set up easy, simple grow lights. We've covered how to start seeds indoors, watering and fertilizing today, and next week's video, we're going to be setting up some containers and drip irrigation in containers out in Joel's yard. It's going to be a ton of fun. So comment below, let us know if you're joining us here on the Spring Garden series. Look forward to seeing you on the next video. Bye-bye.
Take care.